Hey, it's time for another Tips and Tricks episode with Dave, the Metal Building Guy.
Hey guys, Dave, the Metal Building Guy. Today, I kind of want to talk about purlins. And now, there's two different types of purlins that a lot of people are familiar with. The C channel, like this, and these typically will butt because they don't lap. They're hard to lap. Sometimes they will put a stiffener or extended brace on the inside going across, and you'll have a couple of other bolts over here. But over here, this is the typical purling red iron scenario. They vary sometimes. There's 4 holes here in the middle, and generally you'll put your bolts, 2 bolts in, staggered corner to corner, and then you have your laps here. But what I want to talk about is a big mistake that, so many people make. And maybe hit on a few things that maybe you're getting ready to put it together and you haven't really thought of. If you have like a 1 in 12 pitch, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of uphill to that pitch. And I've seen guys actually come out, and never done this before, and put the purlins facing the wrong way, and they face downhill. The reason for them to face uphill is so that they automatically lean towards the peak and kind of help counteract some of the gravitational forces once you put the sheeting on. Take a look at what I'm talking about here. And lapping. This lapping is so important. You think, well, how hard could it be? This is what can happen. Usually, they have a little indicator. Let me see if I can find the. Okay, here's a good example. This is the purling up here, and then it has the diagonal bolting, like what I was talking about. And of course, this is a flange brace. But see this right here, this little triangle? Some of us call it arrow. It's a triangle, but we say arrow up or arrow down. So usually the purling that goes on top of the lap is an arrow up, and the purling on the bottom will have its arrow over here on the other side pointing down. That way you get a good fit. And let me show you this. Okay, so here, this is the way it's supposed to fit. So the one on top has the arrow up, and the one on the bottom, arrow down. So as you're going across, if you have multiple bays, one bay, you do them all up, and then next bay, you do them all down, and then the next bay, all up. Whatever so they're staggered back and forth. Here's an example of if you get them just lapped wrong. In other words, you've got your arrows, one up and one down, but you just got the wrong one on top and wrong one on the bottom. This is what occurs right here. Now, if you get both of them going facing the same direction, this is what occurs. Now, this happens a lot. A lot of people will put this together anyway. They will take clamps and do all sorts of things to squeeze it down and, squeeze as close as they can to get the bolts to fit and so forth. And they fight with it. And they complain and say, the building manufacturers built them wrong, except they just didn't pay attention to the instructions that told you about that little arrow up and arrow down. Because actually, if you get it right, here's one that's done wrong. You can see how this one is bigger and the one on top is smaller. But when it's done properly, this is what it looks like. So that's a little quick tip I wanted to give you guys on doing purlins. And by the way, if you have Z-girts that lap, the same rule applies. All right, guys, we'll catch you later and see you on the next one. All right, bye-bye.
Say, let Dave help you with your DIY project. That's right. I'm here to help with all your metal building needs. Call now. Remember, I'm not here to sell you anything. If you are in Texas, let me help you get your project done right.